So please be patient. We'll be with you in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Well, wasn't that for the WIF funds? And this is separate now.
Okay, we have 3 bills this afternoon, 3 Senate bills this afternoon, I believe. Senator Peters, Senator Riley, Senator Bailey. We will start if Senator Peters has joined us, or Lori.
Lori should be coming in soon. I just texted her, so
Okay.
she should be coming any minute.
And
Senator Peters, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Arnold will be testifying behind Senator Peters. Then we'll move to Senator Riley's bill. There are a number of witnesses, Mickey Revenaugh, Amy Sparks, Candela Amatasho, and Jane St. Pierre. And then we'll go to Senator Bailey's, and it's just Senator Bailey. Senator Peters, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 934 for your consideration, Public Schools, Purple Star Schools Program Establishment. Welcome, Senator Peters.
Thank you. It'll just be me, Mr. Chair. It's a very simple bill. It's a Veterans Caucus priority bill, a DOD bill, which I'm given every year. Bottom line is that the bill establishes what are called Purple Star Schools programs, which are administered by the Maryland State Department of Education. And they just recognize public schools who provide strong services and supports for military-connected students and families. And so in order to qualify as a Purple Star school, a public school must designate a staff liaison, perform specific duties, create an easily accessible web page with pertinent resources, maintain a transition program led by students, offer professional development on issues related to military-connected students, and offer one of several specific initiatives, and they can partner with a county board to fulfill certain requirements. I apologize, I think I do have one witness, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Arnold, I see has joined us, although
Okay, I
albeit
apologize.
in the shadows
that's-
today. Were you done, Senator Peters?
I am done. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Arnold, welcome back.
Chairman, my apologies. I have a contractor here, so I'm in a different part of my house than usual, but great to see everyone. The Department of Defense strongly supports establishment.
Not a military contractor, but a personal contractor.
Roger, yes. We're the only remote office in the Pentagon, so we were work from home before it was cool. DoD strongly supports establishing a Purple Star Schools program, which serves gap areas not encompassed by the state's MIC-3, and is a designation for which many of Maryland's schools serving our active duty installations would already qualify. I'm Christopher Arnold, the Northeast Region Liaison at DoD. When I spoke in the House on this bill, it was immediately following a meeting where Dr. Becky Porter of the Military Child Education Coalition, who submitted a memoranda in support of this bill, had just been discussing this program at the national level with the First Lady of the United States. And as Dr. Biden has observed, military family readiness policy issues are national security issues. With each move, military service members face numerous challenges as they bring their spouses and children to resettle in new communities and attend new schools. Purple Star schools are military-friendly schools that have demonstrated a major commitment to students and families connected to our nation's military. Designated schools have met specific state-designated requirements to support the unique situations facing military students and their families. DoD is hopeful Maryland will soon join the 11 states that have established a statewide Purple Star school policy since 2017. Remember, this is not a mandate for local schools who opt in voluntarily to seek the designation. Subject matter experts from the Education Department and the MIC-3 retain discretion through rulemaking to tailor the program to local requirements and needs to ensure equal opportunity to earn the designation for schools with varying levels of resources. Purple Star also creates an opportunity for military impacted schools to bridge the gap between educators and evaluators on granular K-12 metrics used in basing decisions by the military services. In closing, let me say that we are grateful to Senator Peters for sponsoring this important legislation and to each of you for the tremendous effort that Maryland has historically given in supporting our service members and their families. On behalf of the Department of Defense, we thank you for considering the establishment of a Purple Star Schools program. As a Maryland Purple Star school is not only a badge of honor for the school and the district, it is a recognition of the effort that signals to incoming families they will be welcomed and well supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Question for Senator Peters or Mr. Arnold, Senator Carrozza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll be brief. I want to thank the bill sponsor and also thank Mr. Arnold for his testimony. My question is, there's some of our schools have JROTC programs, others do not. There are, I'm assuming, different ways that we can recognize a school's commitment and participation in supporting our military, and I didn't know if you had other examples from other states. In other words, I'm sensitive to the schools in my district that may not have a formal ROTC program, but are also very supportive and like working with our Worcester County Veterans Memorial.
Roger. So Purple Star is not or I should say JRTC is not a requirement of a Purple Star school. That being said, in Ohio, where the program was started in 2016, and it's since spread to about a dozen other states, that certainly is sort of a common element or theme. But I'd be happy to forward you the report from the Military Child Enhancement Coalition as to the areas that Purple Star tries to cover. It's meant to serve those gap areas that have been identified since the enactment of the Military Interstate Children's Compact back in 2008. Each district should have a military student transition coordinator and or military liaison who is knowledgeable and trained in the issues that military connected students face. That way, if mom or dad is sent down range, whether they're active duty, reserve or guard, there's someone on staff at the school or at the district who can be a resource to those kids, along with other program elements such as having a website and passing a resolution saying they're military friendly school district, and commemorating the month of the military child or other such events throughout the year. So it's certainly a supplement to a JRTC program, but JRTC is not required in order to seek the designation.
Seeing no further questions, that brings the hearing on 934 to a close. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to note that it's a purple star, so it's a very bipartisan bill. Thank you.
Right. And I think there's already a Blue Star program. Thank you, Senator. Okay, we're going to go to Senator Riley, 941, primary and secondary education, virtual schools, operations. We'll start with Senator Riley, and then he's got a panel behind him. So Senator Riley, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 941 has to do with virtual schools. As we celebrate the one-year anniversary of our last sine die, virtual schools, virtual learning has become front and center for everybody involved with education. But it gives us pause to ask the question, does this pandemic and our efforts to teach children online offer opportunities for reflection and for moving forward? As we all know, virtually every, pun intended, Senator Kagan, virtually every school went virtual. And some of the students thrived. Some of the families struggled. Some of the kids felt alienated. Some of them have these mental health issues because of isolation or being left alone while their parents go to work and, you know, they're left to do the technology. This bill is designed to help break down the artificial walls which are constructed in our educational system. As the members of this committee know, county local boards of education are king and queen. They determine what happens in their territory with virtually great control over public education. I've always been an advocate for the past 12 years I've been in the Senate that we have to find ways to tear down these silos so that students can take advantage of online learning. As you may know, online courses are been available for years and years and years, but there has not been any virtual schools in Maryland. It's a program that has been accepted throughout the United States. Mickey Revenbaugh, who will be my next speaker, has indicated that there's over 100,000 students taking advantage of organized schools, regardless of what jurisdiction you're in, and in some instances, what state you're in. So this offers us an opportunity to authorize the study and implementation, either by a local board of education, by the state school board, or by a school of higher education. As we know, Senator President Ferguson was involved with Hopkins in establishing some neighborhood charter schools. It's that same idea that schools that teach teachers, that prepare teachers and are preparing masters and doctorate students could use this as a platform to develop curriculum, administration, enrollment, etc. As we look back over the past year, we know there's been some folks who struggled in real schools by being bullied, and this option of a virtual school could help remove that. There are children who are hospitalized, sick children, people who have physical barriers to getting into a mortar and brick school. Also, online virtual schools can be more enhanced for English language learners. They can have whole curriculums tailored to their needs. The parents could make a choice. So a parent in Allegheny County could go to a virtual school that may in fact be housed by Montgomery County Board of Education. It's not a charter school. The concept that I have, and it's very controversial, is the money for the child follows the child to the new school. That's going to be one of those items for discussion, because we all know head count in county schools helps drive funding. So we have to be sensitive to that and find that middle ground. Maybe we can use federal funding or state funding, or maybe the counties will actually agree to benefit the student no matter where they end up in a public environment. Those are my general comments, Mr. Chairman. But just as also a reminder, we're having a virtual meeting with several members of our committee, Senator Rosapep, on Monday morning to more enhance the several bills which are being presented to the General Assembly this year. This bill may not be the perfect one, but it could be maybe the chassis to amend good ideas into, or the ideas from this can be passed on to a different bill. I'm not married to the bill, I'm married to the concept. Let's see how we can help the children who thrive, who need the flexibility, and even many times the enhancement of additional courses that virtual schools could provide. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mickey Revenbaugh, if it's please the chairman.
That's fine, Senator. Ms. Revenaugh.
Greetings. Thank you so much to members of the committee. Thank you, Senator Riley, for this opportunity to speak about my experience with virtual schools. I actually appear before you as one of the co-founders of a company called Connections Academy, which was actually created right here in the state of Maryland more than 20 years ago to support virtual high-quality public education around the country. Based on my experience over the past 2 decades of bringing personalized, and that's the key word, personalized performance learning opportunities to students elsewhere through outstanding virtual public schools, I'm really honored to explore with you the opportunity to bring the same option to students here in Maryland. It's been a long time coming. One of the really interesting things to come out of this pandemic is actually the sense that some students actually do thrive in a virtual environment. And in fact, our most recent research through a poll of parents all over the country, not just the ones currently in virtual public schools, but in general, is that about 40% of families are saying that they would like either a fully online school or some blended, a hybrid kind of education in their children's future because of the personalization and flexibility that they see. So when my co-founders and I gathered in Baltimore's Inner Harbor back in 2001, right in the wake of 9/11, to conceptualize what would become Connections Academy, we were actually responding at the time to an emerging desire on the part of American families for public school options that fit their children's individual learning needs. It was really turning the idea of a one-size-fits-all school as a place to the idea of anytime, anywhere learning that was personalized for students. What we didn't know then was how essential online public school would become for thousands of especially vulnerable children, the bullied, the struggling, the ill, as well as those training for the Olympics, getting ready to star in their first Broadway play, and taking advantage of the fact that they could work anytime and anywhere. A carefully designed combination of real-time live interaction and at your best time asynchronous instruction made these online schools flexible, safe, and effective for students. Recent research, such as the independent study conducted on the Connections Academy schools, shows that there's actually no statistical difference in performance on state math and reading tests between students in brick and mortar schools and students in the Connections Academy virtual schools all across the country when matched for student mobility and other demographic factors. And here's the interesting thing. When COVID-19 hit, Connections Academy students and families kept right on learning without a hitch. Students in this pandemic way enjoyed a really consistent school experience with a lot of teacher support built in and designed from scratch, content and curriculum that supported them through learning, and a smart and sustainable role for their parents to play as well. I think that's in contrast to what we saw in a lot of places around the country where school districts overnight had to do virtual education. And we found students sitting on Zoom calls for 8 hours a day, or the flip side of that, getting Google Docs of assignments and never having contact with their teachers. Neither of those extremes at all describe what an intentional, built from scratch virtual public school is or can do. And families across the country, joined by about 40% enrollment increase for all of our schools, in 30 states, really were able to keep learning and not have a hitch. but not in
Mr.
Maryland.
You're going to have to start wrapping up, please.
I'm wrapping up right now. So you have an opportunity to bring the same sort of instruction to students across Maryland. This bill
Thank you.
provides a common sense and thoughtful way to let Maryland leapfrog ahead of the other states that started 20 years ago. You have an opportunity
Thank
to
you,
bring
ma'am.
best practice. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Ms. Sparks. You need to unmute, ma'am.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, distinguished senators. I come to you today in support of Senate Bill 941. About 17 years ago, I had to pull my two daughters out of the public school system due to bullying issues. I homeschooled them through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. In the 9th grade, we were given the opportunity to participate in the Baltimore County online public school pilot program. Even though the parents and students found success in this program, due to law issues, this program was canceled abruptly. We made the decision to continue in a private online school. My husband worked 2 p.m. to 11 p.m., and this allowed him to be active in their lives and education. My daughters went on to receive your Maryland senatorial scholarships. My one daughter now works at Johns Hopkins Hospital, and she helped to install the Spitfire building's wireless system. This brings me great pride as I am a breast cancer warrior, and I received my follow-up care in that exact building. Pearson's Online Academy overwhelmingly worked for her. As for my younger two children, we continue with Pearson's because it worked for us. My son already knew how to count and read. His teacher said we could just enroll him in 1st grade. I was worried that maybe I missed something in his reading fundamentals from homeschooling. So she said, no problem, let's enroll him in 1st grade math and the rest in kindergarten. The flexibility is amazing. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, my children were in about the 3rd and 5th grade. I turned to one of my teachers with concern that I would need to put them in an unknown brick-and-mortar school, not knowing what I would be able to handle. My son's teacher said, we got you. Let us help you get through this. And they did. They ensured that my children stayed on track and gave us the needed support to continue online learning. I'm happy to announce that my son is now a senior. He has been entirely virtual school, 13 years. I remember when he was taking calculus last year, he called me over and asked me for help. I looked blank at the screen and said without hesitation, sure, took over his mouse and clicked the school's live tutor button. He is currently taking extra outside Cisco classes and will be continuing on to college in the fall. Which brings me to my baby girl. She is now in the 9th grade. Another curveball has hit our family this year, but not just our family, the entire world, COVID-19. As many schools are thrown into crisis learning mode, make no mistake, this is not true online learning school. It is crisis learning. I am relieved to say that my children's education hasn't missed a beat. Our biggest struggle has been reminding her friends that she's not off school. She can do her classwork any time of the day or night. 6 p.m. is when she is most productive. I share my story with you because throughout these 14 years, I've repeatedly been asked and contacted by parents asking how did they get this option. Unfortunately, it's not available as a public school in this state, but it is in 33 other states, but not here. With COVID-19, you have thrust all the students into crisis learning. You know the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, well, neither was online learning. Maryland teachers are doing their best, but quality programs have spent over 20 years developing and evolving with the new technology.
Ms. Sparks, you have to wrap up, ma'am.
No problem, I'm backing up. Our world may never get back to where it was. Even when in-person classes return, there will be a new group of lost children. It is your job to change laws to fix that so that we can have this option.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Akindele Amatoshi.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Akindele Amatosho. I am a freshman at Pearson Online Academy. Prior to attending Pearson Online Academy, I was homeschooled since I was in 3rd grade. My experience with Pearson Online Academy has been wonderful so far. I think it is incredible how interactive each teacher is and how they make the work interesting. I'm also glad I am able to be in clubs at the school, like the Diversity Club, where we can talk about important topics in our world. In my opinion, I think that Pearson Online Academy is a great school, and I've met several different people, and I've truly had a great experience. I love how flexible time schedules are for school. Now each class is always pre-recorded, so I can always watch them later. I also like having a flexible time schedule in school because I own my own online business called Impactful Gear. Owning my own business lets me own my own business. In owning my own business, I'll get in have okay, sorry, I apologize. In my
Okay.
school, I apologize, sir.
That's okay.
Okay,
Take a breath.
thank you. Okay. In my schooling, it was hard for me to balance my I apologize. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Balancing my work and my school can be difficult for me at times when I was in a normal school. But now with Pearson Online Academy, it is very easy for me to balance my work and my school. I'm so thankful that I could get into Pearson Online Academy. I think this opportunity should be open to other students in the state of Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you. Did very nicely, Mr. Amatosio. Ms. St. Pierre, please.
Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the Education, Health, and Economic Affairs Committee, thank you for allowing me to appear before you today. I'm Jane St. Pierre. I was a Louisiana teacher in both public and private schools for more than 2 decades. And I was also a learning coach for my 2 sons who both earned high school diplomas from a private online school in Maryland, INACA, which is now known as Pearson Online Academy. Throughout my career as an educator, I saw that many students were not flourishing in the traditional setting, even with accommodations. And the unfortunate truth is that the educational system often unintentionally dooms many students to defeat simply by a failure to expand varied alternatives. We must intentionally provide enough options to meet different learning styles and needs of all students. It's simply unfair to give students the message that a high school diploma is crucial to future success and then not provide numerous viable paths to such achievement. A case in point is my son, Joey. I sent you a long letter of a testimony of his grueling academic journey through grade school and high school. I will say that once he was provided with the 100% virtual school, he went from feeling incapable of learning and requesting to drop out of high school to absolutely soaring and realizing that he, in fact, was an avid learner. At the age of 23, he is the youngest manager in the history of the district of his company. And we are so grateful to the 100% virtual option, which made his career success a possibility. He is a success and not a statistic for high school dropouts. Since his graduation, my mission has been to promote quality online learning as a solution for students who achieve academic success through this avenue. I firmly believe that all states need a free public option for student populations that thrive in this environment. I implore you to vote yes to this Senate bill, and I am ever so grateful to the state of Maryland for the fantastic education that both of my sons received. Credit to you. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman, I
you.
have 2 comments, if I may, very short comments.
Sure, Senator.
Thank you. Just remember the bill specifies more than 1% of any county public school population can enroll. And number 2, the Pearson name was mentioned several times. This bill is not a sole source contract. There are a number of very highly qualified providers in this space. Pearson happens to be a very articulate spokesperson, organization, but there's a lot of choices that, again, local boards of ed, higher education, or the state board could select. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you, Senator and sponsor. Before I call for questions, you should check your file. There has been opposition. It's all written from the state superintendents, Anne Arundel County Schools, the State Education Association, and the Maryland Education Coalition. So read that at your leisure. Are there questions for the sponsor, Senator Hester?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator, for bringing this interesting bill forward. I really appreciate your leadership in this area, and you started your testimony by saying that there's several bills in front of us, and we should take a good look at all of them. So I appreciate being able to collaborate with you in that way. My question is, hopefully all of our kids will be able to go back to school in the fall and everybody will be vaccinated. But do we currently have a plan for those that either for some health reason or those that are doing really well online to, for the fall?
Under the current situation, it is my
Yes.
understanding that if in September the schools are done with virtual learning, the vast majority will go back to the brick and mortar schools. Some of the charter schools have had great success in allowing students to join their charter school virtually, and that may continue. But based on my information, that once the emergency is declared over and the teachers and the administration and the parents all agree to go back, the vast majority will go back.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Before concluding the hearing, let me just make a quick comment.
Sure.
There is another bill that was just introduced by Senator Hester. Just got out of rules in the last, 48 hours or so. I'm told there is at least one House bill. And I have to say, committee, we've got 15 days left in session. We're just in a situation where people are just about to return to school. Hopefully to the bricks, hopefully in large quantities and in a very healthy manner. I'm not sure we have taken in and learned all the lessons from the past 12 months. For one, think this is not a simple issue and a complicated issue. And I think it's going to take some time. So I am very concerned us trying to move something with 15 days left in session. I think it's something that should take our time, thoughtful conversation, getting all the stakeholders together. So I think we need to understand where we are in session, bills coming in with high numbers, understandably so, because we were hit with this, the COVID. So we're gonna have to put some context to this very important issue. It might not be able to be resolved in the next 14 days, is my only point. Okay, thank you. That concludes the hearings. Thank you, Senator Riley. Thank you, witnesses. We're going to go to the final bill of the day, Senator Bailey, 945, Calvert County Board of Education, public meetings, public comment. Welcome back, Senator Bailey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Try to be brief, but I have a very important bill today dealing with the Calvert County Board of Education and public meetings, and especially public comment. This bill would require the Calvert County Board of Education to provide an opportunity for public comment at their meetings. It would ensure that a member of the public would be allowed 3 uninterrupted minutes at a public meeting to comment on matters related to education, testing, attendance, school athletic, school transportation, school boundaries, and other matters relevant to the Board of Education or the administration of the Calvert County Public School System. Seems to me that everybody's going, wow, that sure does make sense. I will have to say the need to have to introduce this legislation is a complete failure of the Calvert County Board of Education, and their opposition to this bill shows how uninformed the Board of Education is when it comes to the residents of Calvert County. We should not be silencing the citizens of a county during a pandemic. And that, unfortunately, is what happened. That's why this legislation became necessary due to the Board of Education's policies during their meetings, which were held virtually because of the pandemic, and their current policy that the public should be given time to testify at their meetings. However, during the meetings, the board only accepted public comment in writing, and not giving the residents the opportunity to speak before the board was in violation of their own policy. They did that for almost a year. The public comment, as we all know, is so critical part of government. While the conditions of the past year have imposed difficulty in conducting public meetings, ensuring that the ability of the people to be heard by the elected officials is a high priority. We do this at all other branches of the government. We do not want to condone this activity whatsoever. I want you to look at the board. We got a letter of opposition from the county superintendent. The County Board of Education has a policy and procedure, the guidance for entertaining public comment at board meetings. Please see the enclosed policy. They were not following their own policy. They clearly have a policy. He says, well, they have a policy. There's no need for this. Well, if they've done it once, they'll do it again. I'd like to go to some of the letters. We looked at the fact of some of the letters. Why would we bring this forward? Because the Board of Ed website does not even provide an email so the public could submit comments. The comments that went to these individuals that they actually posted, they were titled, "I hope I'm reaching the right person." I was given your name and contact info. So if you're not the right person, who should I contact? Do I need to contact someone else? I'm not sure the best way to ensure that parent comments are shared with the board. These were letters from parents, students, bus drivers, librarians, and school staff. Every single voice was muted. That is a serious concern to me. This is an ongoing issue, and even a board member who brought this up in the middle of a public hearing was stopped. And when he tried to raise this, the Board of Education is not undertaking some of the actions required by this bill. Even though they have gone after this bill was filed and the cross file was filed, they went back, they said, we're back to our policy. No need for this bill, you can withdraw it. They are still not currently recording any public comments in their minutes. They should not be allowed to silence the citizens of Calvert County when it comes to education. This bill only affects the Calvert County Board of Education. I've requested an amendment to make it an emergency bill because I have no idea how long it'll take them to revert back to their past practice. I need to make sure that the public comment is restored at these meetings as soon as possible. I respectfully request a favorable report on this bill, and I'd like to take any questions that anyone has.
Questions for the good senator from St. Mary's, Calvert County? Seeing Senator Ellis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't have time to go to raise my hand, so thank you for recognizing me. Senator Bailey, I'm looking at the website for the Calvert County School Board, and it has like a couple of members. It says their terms expired in 2020, like the school board chair and the vice chair. How do you know about it? How do you explain it? Is that an error or?
I can't really explain what's on their website.
Okay, but all the school board members are duly elected and serving their proper terms, right?
All the school board members in Calvert are just like they are in St. Mary's and Charles. They are elected by the public.
Yeah. And are they elected countywide in Calvert or based on district or district-based voting?
They're elected in Calvert the same way they're elected in St. Mary's and Charles.
Which is
they represent a district, but they're elected countywide.
Yeah, I know in Charles, they are all at large. It's not district, so they have to run district, but they collect votes from around the county. Is that what you're saying?
That is to the best of my ability, but I have no idea what this has to do with them silencing the people that are reaching out to them for public comment, was what this bill does.
Well, I'm just trying to get an understanding of the Calvert County
I'll
Board
be
of,
more than happy to catch up with you offline about that.
because you brought this bill before us, and I think we need to understand what the issue is. If it comes to a vote, we can really understand what's going on. So that's why I'm asking these questions, Senator. And so, okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, that concludes the hearing for that legislation. Thank you, Senator, for joining us. It is now 2:25. We will meet in chambers at 3. While you've been meeting, you should have received the voting lists. So if you want to take the next half hour to skim them over. We have to go back at 6, but I have to tell you, committee councils are very busy preparing floor reports. So we might not be able to go till 10 of 6. I might have to break a little earlier so committee councils can do the work to actually get things ready for the floor. We have, I think, a number of bills coming up that we voted last night for this afternoon session. So, you know, the paperwork happens, or the electronic work happens. So we'll meet in chambers at 3. Please review the voting list. See you then. Thank you. This hearing is adjourned.